This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
All right, let's welcome him in. Richard Davenport, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, and Whole Hog Sports. Richard, one of the things that I've learned about you is you develop relationships with a lot of these guys that you cover in recruiting before they get to Arkansas, while they're at Arkansas, after at Arkansas. And I know you had a relationship with Alex Collins, who unfortunately died on Sunday night. What can you tell us about the man off the field?
You know, Alex is good. I mean, he was, just, as we all know now, I mean, he was just an incredible communicator, personable, great interview, but he didn't like to do a lot of interviews. And when he was going through the recruiting process, I mainly talked to his high school coach, Doug Gatewood, and he kind of would talk to Alex and then fill me in with what's going on with his recruiting, if he was going to visit Arkansas and all of that. So the first time I ever talked to him in person was in Los Angeles, California. That was for the Simplify All-American game. He and Austin Allen and several other Arkansas recruits were there for that game. And that was the first time I talked to him. And Doug, his coach, told me, he said, "Now this guy is a different dude." And obviously he meant it in a good way, because he was such an adventurous guy. I mean, we know about the Irish dancing. He got the Irish dancing bug from Doug's daughter, who would compete in Irish dancing. So, and he was very close with Doug and his family, and so that's where the Irish dancing came from. And then, I mean, he even did competitive cheerleading. I mean, how many guys in football are going to do competitive cheerleading? Because but he didn't care what anybody thought. He was so unconventional. I mean, he liked trying different things, and that's something that he was very adventurous, and that's something I think that really stuck with me. And talking to him and getting to know him, you know, once we started talking a little bit more, and when he was in Fayetteville, you know, I'd see him and we would talk. But he was probably one of the more engaging guys you'd ever want to talk to, but he wasn't one of these guys that wanted to do a lot of interviews. So that was kind of different, because I told him, I said, "Man, you need to be out there," because he was so likable. And, I mean, I think he knew that. People gravitated towards him, but he just wasn't a big talker for us with the media.
And you think about that time period. I mean, obviously the connection was Bielemma. Arkansas wasn't going to South Florida and getting a ton of talent in here. And you just come off the 2012 season that really didn't set the tone for, hey, this is the place where, you know, all pro backs need to go, where guys that are looking to really get to the NFL need to come to Arkansas. The program wasn't in great shape, but he still came to Arkansas and ended up being the number 2 all-time leader in career rushing yards. I just think about that commitment and coming in at a time where things weren't exactly at an all-time high here.
Yeah, he was recruited by Bret at Wisconsin, and they had developed a really good relationship, and he had visited Wisconsin. So I didn't know much about Alex, you know, until obviously Bret got here and they started recruiting to Fayetteville. But in talking to Doug, I really got, you know, the sense that wherever Bret ended up, Alex was probably going to go. And it wasn't. I'm not going to say it was a slam dunk, but their relationship was very, very tight. And don't forget Charlie Partridge. Charlie Partridge also, you know, when he was on the staff at Arkansas as a defensive line coach, was very close to Alex, and he was actually from Plantation, Florida, the same area as Alex. So you can't forget how influential that relationship was in him deciding to be a Razorback. But I always kind of, after talking to Doug and the times when I talked to Alex during the recruiting process, I always felt like Arkansas was going to be his destination, because he wanted to go to a place that he knew he was going to be able to run the football, and obviously Bret did that in Wisconsin, and he's going to do that at Arkansas, and obviously it worked out for him.
Talking with Richard Davenport this morning, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette and Whole Hog Sports. And if you want to share, again, any memories, Alex's life and his legacy is not limited to just one day. You can do this throughout the morning. Chuck's going to be back. We'll hear his thoughts later on the next 2 days as well. Richard, I want to ask about Sam Bakke. I heard some good things about him during fall camp. He's the guy that really sprung Bryce Stevens for that long punt return last year against Missouri State. What does that do to the wide receiver room? A kid out of Georgia that looked like he was going to contribute this year, but now out for the season.
Yeah, that's the tough part, because you figure he was going to. This was going to be his development year. I mean, what I say is he wasn't going to be the go-to guy, but he was going to be the guy that would get some catches here or there, and then maybe mid-season or later in the season, maybe he would really blossom into one of the guys that KJ really focused on. And obviously he's got very good size and pretty good speed. But yeah, you hate to see that. But if there's one area on the team, I mean, there's several areas. I think this is the most deep team that Arkansas has at all positions, and I think receivers one of them. So obviously it's not a positive. Anytime you lose a guy at a position that seemed to be coming on, especially a young guy, but I think they'll be okay. But obviously that depth took a little bit of a hit, and you really can't afford to lose anybody else going forward.
I know there are freshmen that are going to contribute, maybe not this year, but in years to come. But if you had to pinpoint two guys, would it be Luke Hasz and Jalen Braxton that contribute as true freshmen in year one?
Yeah, probably so, because both of them been on campus since January, and obviously they were highly talented coming out of high school, and then just seeing them in practice, in spring practice, especially Luke. I was very impressed when I saw him. He just looks like a guy that belonged from day one, and you don't see that too often with freshmen. I think Jalen's another one. His speed, his athleticism is, I think, top tier. He played both ways in high school, and he was a heck of a receiver too for his high school team. And I think because of his athleticism and his speed, all guys in the defensive backfield have that. But I think Jalen he's a notch or two above most other people. I think at his age and coming into college and having that extra time during the spring, I think is going to really help him.
Remind our audience, because I know you've got coaches in Fayetteville that they're going through camp right now. High schools are this week going through their benefit games and scrimmaging and getting ready for the season. Kind of what the recruiting calendar is right now. I know we'll have official visits starting to come up when when the games start in Fayetteville. Kind of run through the timeline, because I think people kind of get disconnected on that this time of year.
Yeah, well, it's a dead period right now for both football and basketball. Basketball ends the 20th, so then it'd be a quiet period, so they can start having kids on campus. But I don't anticipate that happening until football season. So they like bringing in kids for football games, let them see the atmosphere and stuff like that. Football's a dead period all the way up to September, and then you'll start seeing visits for football weekends and stuff like that. But right now, the coaches, and I think right now for basketball, you notice Coach Muss and the staff, you see them on social media, tweeting out vacation type photos and videos and stuff like that. Well, I mean, obviously, this is a good time for them to get some downtime. And for the football coaches, they can just totally focus on fall camp and get ready for that. It doesn't mean that they're not still recruiting. They are, but they just can't have anybody on campus.
I think if you polled all the coaches privately, they'd all be for expanding a few of the dead periods a few more days.
Oh, absolutely. I think the NCAA is going to have to really get serious about. We talk about mental health for student athletes and to focus on that. I think you need to focus on the coaches and mental health, because the downtime that they get is very limited. It's 24/7 recruiting, transfer portal, getting ready for the season, coaching during the season. When you get into the season, there's no time off. I mean, it's full bore until the end of the season. So and then you get into the recruiting calendar, and there's just not enough breaks for them to really be able to, the coaching staffs and everybody involved, support staff, even them, to really have some downtime, to have family time. And I think the NCAA is going to have to get serious about that at some point.
Yeah, because you feel like if you're not working, you're not doing, someone else is, and you're falling behind. And then you think about right now, dead period for the basketball coaches through the 20th. Well, I mean, if you got kids that are of school age, and most of these basketball assistant coaches, most of them do have a kid of that age and that age range. Well, they're going back to school, so you're really limited as to what you can do personally to, like you said, refresh yourself and kind of get ready for the grind of a year.
Recruiting is always going to happen, but do it in a way that gives these coaches some family time, more family time, and a little bit better chance of just catching their breath and not having to worry about getting kids on campus. I mean, it's I thought it was pretty insane even before the transfer portal and everything involved, NIL and stuff like that. NIL is a different animal too, but it was crazy before all this. And then you add all the NIL and transfer portal and all that, and having to recruit everybody on your roster at the end of the season, or even during the season. It's just endless.
Seems like it. I'm glad it's not my profession. Richard, we'll leave it there, man. We appreciate your time this morning. We'll do it again next Wednesday, as we're 17 days out. We'll be 10 days out next week.
Sounds good, guys. Take care.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.